Keir Starmer is fighting for his political life this Monday, the UK Prime Minister's Labour Party having suffered damning losses in local elections last week, while smaller parties from the far right and the left both made strong gains. Starmer now facing a possible rebellion from within his party by those who say he no longer has the authority to govern. But he did come out fighting today. He says he won't walk away, and that even under his leadership, despite Brexit, he says the UK will look to strengthen ties with Europe.
But the next EU summit, I will set a new direction for Britain. The last government was defined by breaking our relationship with Europe. This Labour government will be defined by rebuilding our relationship with Europe, by putting Britain at the heart of Europe.
Well, with me now is Armen, Georgian, our Europe editor, to talk a little bit about this. Armen, look, we all know Brexit was a torturous process, but it's happened. Britain is out of the European Union. So why there do we have the UK Prime Minister saying, look, with me, Britain is going to be back at the heart, he says, of the continent?
Yeah, I suppose he had to find something to say after this massive election loss. But of course, when it comes to the EU, he's already tried a reset for a while, Nadia. And you remember the big thing that he sold recently as a win was to sign the UK up to the Erasmus Plus scheme. So as of next year, a lot of young people are going to be able to benefit from working and living in the EU for set periods of time. But it's been quite a mixed bag of results, actually, on this reset that he's been trying for a while. If you take the example of defence, which is a big priority for this UK government, trying to have closer cooperation with the EU on defence. Starmer didn't get the terms that he wanted on SAFE, the big EU defence procurement scheme. So that was, kind of not the result that he wanted. So I think on the one hand, he's had, I suppose, in some more superficial sense, on the diplomatic optics of closer relations with Europe, he's looked quite decent, when it comes to chairing meetings of the coalition of the willing on Ukraine or councils with EU leaders when it comes to the Middle East and things like that. But on the nitty-gritty of post-Brexit policy, it's been actually quite a mixed set of results, I would say.
And look, in the UK, it is really important to emphasise this. This was a local election. It was bins and schools and very much not looking at international issues at all. So why do you think Starmer is making that kind of outreach to the continent now?
Well, I think this outreach is obviously, it's partly because the 10th anniversary of the referendum is coming up now, so it's in end of June of this year. And also because he's trying to send signals before the next big EU-UK summit, which is supposed to happen between now and the summer, sometime, end of the summer. We don't know exactly what date. So he's sending messages to his European partners. I think when it comes to his domestic audience, it's a slightly more tricky thing to know exactly what he's trying to do. One interpretation is that he's trying, by talking about this, putting Britain at the heart of Europe, he's maybe trying to appeal to voters who propelled those big gains in the local elections in the UK for the Green Party especially, but also the Liberal Democrats, because don't forget, the Green Party got more than 300 seats, gained more than 300 seats, and the Liberal Democrats more than 150 seats. Those are both very pro-EU parties in the UK. The Greens actually want to rejoin the customs union with the EU, and the Lib Dems want to renegotiate a new customs union covering most products. So maybe he's trying to make a pitch to those voters to say, well, look, in a general election context, which is going to come up in the next couple of years, in a first past the post system, you might as well vote for the Labour, because at least you'll get some of the things that you want on Europe, and a future Labour government will be able to hold off Reform UK, which is, of course, the successor to the Brexit Party of Nigel Farage, and the Conservatives. Both of those are going to be taking a strongly Eurosceptic course in the next UK general election campaign. I think a big remaining question, Nadia, just to end on this, is what is he going to do about the customs union? Because it's all very well to say, we want to rebuild the relationship with the EU. Does that mean rejoining the customs union or not? And he's going to be pressed, I think, on that in the coming days and weeks. What I think he seems to be heading towards is maybe some sort of Swiss-style deal where Switzerland pays for access to the EU single market. Sorry, I meant to say the single market, not the customs union. Switzerland pays for certain privileges, but it's not technically part of the EU single market. So there's speculation that is where Starmer will go. But of course, any deal that he strikes is going to be very, very much open to attack politically at home.
All right, thank you very much, Armen Georgian, for us there.
Thank you.